So good evening, everybody. This is Erin Spalding, and I just want to welcome you to our March new member orientation. Um, it is 7 o'clock, so I'm going to get started and just want to acknowledge we have a good crowd tonight. We're waiting on a few others who hopefully will join, but right now I know that Andy is here, Jim, Shannon, and Susan, and me. um, And we are recording this tonight because despite all the snow, we have had, a pretty good response to our membership, and we have about four others who could not join us tonight, who will listen to the recording by the end of the week, who are kind of grouped in with your class, if you want to call yourselves the March class of new members of Achilles. So anyway, Jim and Quincy, Ray, and Emily will be listening to the link as well. And I believe Breck is here. Is that true? I see everyone coming in, which is a cool feature. And also Lily, who's our membership director and coordinator. Anyone else I missed? And hopefully everyone can hear me and see the screen. Some of you may be just audio, and that is fine too. Either way, whether you can see the screen or as long as you can hear me, we are good to go. I am going to, while I'm doing just some of the overall kind of getting started, I am going to mute everyone because there are some people who have different background noises. You all have the ability to mute yourselves. If you have a dog barking or you're walking, sometimes we pick up on that. And otherwise, you can also unmute yourself if you have a question. This is very interactive tonight with us, and really a great opportunity to kind of talk as live as we can. We're all around Connecticut and it's cold out without having to leave the comfort of our own home. So I am going to just mute everyone again and advance the slide. Okay, so we are going to do some introductions briefly. This is me, the face behind the voice. Again, I'm Erin Spalding. I am the chapter president. I've been in this role since 2013 and an athlete since 2012. And so what we're going to do, I'll kick it off, is we're going to introduce ourselves, who we are, what town we live in, because again, I mentioned we're all around Connecticut, and what got you interested in joining Achilles. So you can see me here in the picture. For those of you that are screen sharing with me, I am holding an award that I won in the physically challenged division of the 2014 Hartford 5K. I got involved in Achilles as an athlete 2 years after I sustained a pretty bad head, neck, and shoulder injury. Before that, I was a big runner and triathlete, loved to cycle, swim, and after a pretty unexpected accident, I found myself 5 weeks in patient rehab learning how to walk, talk, do things we take for granted. And somebody handed me at Gaylord, someone handed me a brochure about Achilles and says, this is how you're going to get your life back. And you're going to be able to do the things that you love to do and who make you you. And so I did my first race with Achilles in Central Park and kept going from there, supported by a guide on either side of me to help me with my balance. And I've just been honored to be able to pay my experiences forward to other athletes and guides as well, since taking on the leadership role of the chapter. So again, want to welcome you all. I'm going to move the slide on and let Lily introduce herself. She is our membership coordinator, and she's been working with you and Nicole, who's on the left, who could not be on the call tonight, but the two of them have gotten you this far through handbooks and quizzes and profiles. And I'm going to turn this over to Lily to introduce herself.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Erin. Yes. So I actually hated running when I was younger, and I got into running probably in around 2011 when I ran my first half marathon. And after I finished it, I decided I wanted to run a full marathon. So I did that the following year. And I heard about Achilles through word of mouth, and I just love running now so much that I wanted to just share that passion with other people and help people that wouldn't be able to participate in events like this without the assistance of someone. So a few years ago, I joined as a guide to athletes, and I've run a few races with a number of athletes and really enjoyed it. Wanted to just do more for Achilles because I think it's such a worthy cause that I reached out to Erin and said, hey, I can help. Let me, do whatever you need me to do. And she enlisted me in to be part of the membership team working with Nicole to help with onboarding new members and volunteers. So I've been doing it for probably, 6 months or so at this point, and just really enjoying it and having a great time.
And Lily is doing a great job because you're all here on the call.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're managing hundreds of people, and you are the 6 to 10 new members we're welcoming. So it is a monumental task, and she does a fantastic job. Lily and my job tonight, like I said, is to kind of expand on the handbook, expand on things you've heard about us or seen about us, and really make this the final piece of your training before we launch our race season. So the timing of you all coming in is just absolutely perfect. Next slide is now to talk about all of you. And because we have a big group tonight, what I'd like to do is just kind of play teacher a little bit, and I'll call on you to introduce yourself as kind of the order you arrived into the meeting. But we want to hear from you now. What kind of member are you? We have athletes on the call, and we have new volunteers on the call tonight. And you can see kind of here on this slide, we have two different kinds of athletes. We have some that are competitive, like I was saying about myself. I love to race, and after my accident, I couldn't do it the way I used to. And we have some athletes who have been lifelong athletes, and others who are just getting into adaptive sports and setting new goals and challenges for themselves. So some are competitive. They will be going to different races. Others are not competitive. They just want to be active. They want to be trying new things. They want to be getting outside, not cooped up on, in a gym or on the treadmill, or get off the couch. And so they may be still in your communities, but just maybe not competing in races, but going to their local tracks or parks, and still need, guides to meet them locally. And we're going to talk and expand on that a little bit more. And then obviously volunteers, and volunteers come in many forms. Some are going to be running with our athletes locally, again, just maybe in non-competitively or on race day. And then we have off-road volunteers who maybe don't run, but just love to volunteer, give back to the community. And we'll talk about that later, all the different kind of hats you can wear within Achilles. So again, when you're introducing yourself, your name, the town you live in, and how you got here tonight, what kind of drew you to Achilles. And I'm going to start with Shannon, because she was the first one in the door. I'm going to unmute you, Shannon. Are you there? Okay, there you are.
Hi, I'm Shannon, and I am interested in Achilles because I have been pretty active in the past. and just became interested since I would like a new way to increase my activity again. I learned about Achilles a few years ago from friends at chapter 126.
Excellent. Thank you. And Shannon is, she mentioned chapter 126, which is an adaptive gym in Bristol, which is just amazing. And a lot of our members come from that gym. They are a huge referral to us. And we do a lot of partnering with them. So welcome, Shannon.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one in was Susan. Susan, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yep. Hi, I'm
There you are.
Susan. I'm Susan Riggs. I live in Brantford, and I've run the Cheshire Half Marathon a couple, 3 or 4 times over the last couple of years, and there have been Achilles athletes running it, which piqued my interest. And then Achilles came and spoke to us at a meeting at work, and I love to run. I run a lot of different races, and I thought this was a great idea as far as just sharing something that I love and supporting all sorts of athletes.
Great, thank you. And a quick little fun fact about Susan is that her daughter and my daughter played soccer on the Brantford High School soccer team.
Yep.
When I got your application and your information from membership from Nicole and Lily, I was like, I know her. Welcome.
Now that she doesn't play soccer, I have extra time. So it
right. Excellent. Okay, great. Next one in, I believe, was Andy.
Hi, everybody. My name is Andy Bernard. I live in Tolland, Connecticut, and I've been running since 2014. I've run pretty much everything from pretty much all road, but I've run everything from a 5K to a full. And I'm here because sort of once I got to the point of doing a full, sort of like, what should I do now? Like, I always like to see what's another thing I can do, another challenge. And so I decided to do something that helps me and also gives back to the rest of the community. And seeing me something that I love to do that allows other people to do the same thing, that's a win for everybody. So that's why I'm here. And I would say I'm a non-competitive runner in the sense that I really only compete with myself. I'm not really too worried about how I'm doing compared to others. And I like to get out there and run with everybody, just have a lot of fun and tend to keep going.
Excellent. Welcome. Okay. So then I believe Jim was the next one in. Jim is another one of our athletes. Just unmuted you, Jim.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Hi, my name is John McCollum. I live in West Haven, and I visited the Achilles table in the exhibit hall at the National Federation of the Blind State Convention last November, and signed up there. And I haven't really, I walk all the time, but I haven't done any running since high school, which was about 30 years ago, something like that. But I don't know if I want to give my age away or not. But anyway, I've been wanting to get into running for a long time, but with things in my personal life being what they are, it's been very difficult to find a way to do that. So so now here I am, ready to go. And I'm like Andy, I'm not really competing against other people. I'm just out to compete against myself and see what I can do and have fun with it.
Excellent. And Jim, I remember meeting you at the NFB booth. I was there that day with a couple other of the board from Achilles. So.
Okay, good. I still have my cowbell.
There you go.
Oh, go.
You're making everyone else jealous.
Well, most people get annoyed when I ring it. They go, put that thing down.
I love it. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so there's a few people who did not type in their name, so I am not quite sure. I just have phone numbers. So I am going to, is maybe Matt on the phone?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, I got it. Great.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi, I'm Matt Mangold. I live in Ellington, Connecticut, and I like others that I've heard before say, in high school I couldn't stand running. I hated running the mile. But then a little bit later in life, actually, my brother got me into triathlons, which started out as just local sprints, actually winding trails in Farmington, and got more into that. And as I did triathlons, I really started to enjoy running, biking, all of it together, and all of it separate at times too. So that's kind of, I got started in triathlons in '07. So just over 10 years now of biking and running and swimming. But then first heard of Achilles actually when I did my first Ironman Lake Placid in 2010. In that race, I had a tandem bike come along next to me. And then with that, I saw Achilles and started to talk to the guys and learn their story. And ever since, I've been very curious and interested and seeing them around at other races also. And more recently, kind of like Andy, I kind of, at this point, done it all and tried to, and now I'm looking for more, I don't know if a challenge is the right word, but more just a way to make my training and my racing more valuable and more worthwhile than just going to do another race. So I'm interested in hopefully working with some athletes and guiding and trying to give back to others and help others enjoy the experiences that I've experienced.
Excellent. Great. Thank you for sharing. Fun fact, I grew up in Ellington, so I know that town.
Okay.
Well. And I don't think Leland mentioned it, but she lives in Ellington too. So we have a little Ellington crew on the call tonight. I love it.
So, I actually grew up in Rockville, right next door, and Ellington was our big rival. And I know Ellington was always, I've always looked down on them as a kid, but here I am.
And then you moved there. That's great. Well, welcome. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Maybe Breck. I saw his name come in, but then it went away. But maybe there's a phone. Mystery phone number is Breck. No, maybe not. Anyone else? There's two phone numbers I don't know.
Can you?
Oops.
So this is Ron Lacandro.
Oh, hi, Ron. How are you? Yep, gotcha.
Good. How are you? So I'm from Simsbury, Connecticut, and the way I found out about this is a friend of mine in the CT Trail Mixers, Michael Apresti. So he ran with an Achilles. He was a guide for one of the Achilles runners down in Disney, and I've seen them in the past at events and things like that. I've always been a volunteer in other areas. I'm big into running now. I do ultra marathons, so I am competitive, but like to also step back, and I've helped other friends meet their goals when they don't necessarily meet my goals, but just to kind of help them along. And I felt it was a really cool program and a good cause and helping other people. And so that's what kind of got me involved.
Excellent. All right. Want a fun fact? I have all these fun facts tonight. It's great. So Michael Apresti was my first guide, or I was his first athlete in Disney.
Oh, cool.
That was me. And he was my first guide after I did this. I did the Disney half marathon. So
yeah, he's a great guy.
I know him very well. Yes. Very cool. Excellent. Yep. So did we get everyone? Is there anyone else who snuck in with a phone that I'm not recognizing?
This is Breck. Can you hear me?
Breck, you are here. Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I thought I was screaming, and I guess I wasn't getting through. But yes, I am on the call.
Great.
So my name is Breck McNabb. I'm from Hartford. I guess I could be classified as a competitive runner, although like the others, I'm not really in it to win. I'm competing against myself, which always seemed to me a bit selfish. Like every time I raced, I'm thinking, okay, so this is like all about me. What else can I do? I always felt like, how is there a way that I can actually make this, about someone else? And, I remember seeing Achilles guides and athletes out on the course, multiple races. And I just thought that looks really cool. And then about a year and a half, 2 years ago, my wife ended up becoming a volunteer and started guiding. And I guess and then I volunteered last year at the Hartford Marathon to do some photography, and ever since then I decided I wanted to be part of this. So here I am.
Well, welcome. And quick plug, Breck does amazing photography. He makes us look so good. even in the rain, we look good.
Well, thank you. It's you guys make my job easy, believe me.
Well, again, welcome everyone. I believe we have everyone now accounted for, and I'm going to put you all back on mute. But like I said, if there's anything as Lily and I take you through that you can unmute yourself and ask away. Very informal here. Okay. Just want to quickly show you pictures or tell you who is the next kind of group that you're going to be interfacing with in Achilles. This is our events team. So like I said, you guys have done the requirements to get yourself ready for race season, ready to meet our athletes. If you're an athlete, ready to get out there. We need the weather to cooperate, but the events team, as we speak, is working really hard behind the scenes to get everything going. Rebecca on the left is our Vice President of Outreach, who covers the shoreline, basically from Greenwich to Stonington. So as you were all, spitting out your towns, if you live in any of those, you're going to be working closely with Rebecca. Tiffany is our co-vice president of outreach, who covers Central and Northern Connecticut. Rebecca's a volunteer with us, and Tiffany is one of our amazing athletes. So that is the outreach team. And then the event coordinator and registration coordinator, who once we kind of get going with our races, you're going to be hearing a lot from them. Your next step as you get started, they will be sending you a list of all of our races that we are doing as Team Achilles Connecticut. Athletes, we cover your registration. You probably read about that in the handbooks. Guides get complimentary registrations, and so we give you codes. Those are going to be coming from Grit and Nina. They're very organized. You can see, if you're looking at the screen, you can see the picture of Grit, who literally has everyone who did the Hartford Marathon half or 5K listed on a whiteboard with their names and their times and their guides. And no joke, they are so super organized, just like Lily and Nicole. And they're going to be a lot of fun to work with. I am very lucky that, again, these are all volunteers and members of our community who have taken on leadership roles to support me in kind of leading the board. We have two treasurers, Joanne and Darren, who, their role is helping with the fundraising and all the grants and things like that come in. They work closely with Joe Bennett, our Director of Development and Marketing. Susan, and that was who you met at the Yale presentation that day. Patrick is our chapter secretary, who oversees our communications and makes sure all of you are getting emails from us and information from us. We are fortunate that we have a group of experts in their fields who advise our board. Laura is from Chris Radio, which is a radio that supports the visually impaired in Connecticut. Katie is from the Sports Association at Gaylord Hospital, so with a focus on adaptive sports. Chaz is the owner of Connecticut Sports and Fitness and manager of Sound Runner Glastonbury. We hold indoor workouts in the off season at his gym, and his running store, and actually Fleet Feet Sports and a lot of other running stores give us, free sneakers to our athletes who couldn't afford them on their own. Waive, fees for training groups. Just do a lot to support our athletes and our organization. Chris Love is one of our very first guides ever in the chapter and is now ex officio on the board. Ryan from the Connecticut Trial Firm in Glastonbury is our pro bono general counsel. All those waivers we make you sign as you're joining, Ryan has written those and approved them. And then Beth Schluger, who's the executive director of the Hartford Marathon Foundation. So we have a perspective of a race director on our board and working with accommodations for our athletes. And I have to introduce Maggie to you. She is our mascot. She is, and I never remember the breed that she is. I think she's a mix, but she is a three-legged. She's an amputee, and she comes to our races with her owner Mary, who's one of our guides who lives in West Haven. So Jim, maybe you'll get to see Mary and Maggie out there on the boardwalk. She has her own shirt, and she loves to be at the finish line and give lots of licks. We have two athletes who are on the call tonight, but I want to brag about some of our existing athletes who you're all going to be meeting as we get going in the new racing season coming up. This is just a list, a short list of some of the pretty incredible things that our athletes are doing. So we have two of our athletes who are heading to the Paralympics, one who's already been. Steve from Manchester is on Team USA for curling, and Amy Dixon for triathlon. She's visually impaired. We've had a visually impaired athlete from Naugatuck do and half Ironman. Boston Marathon. This year we have 3 athletes representing Connecticut who are heading up there next month. It's coming up quick. New York City Marathon. This year we had 10 of our Connecticut athletes apply. I believe 9 of them actually got accepted. So that's a big group heading there. As I mentioned, I did the half down in Disney with Michael Lopresti. Other athletes venture outside of Connecticut. They've done Marine Corps Marathon, Philly Marathon. They've gone outside of our borders and done the International Hand Cycling Championships up in Canada. We have ultra marathoners. The Lake, the Jack Warmog? I'm going to butcher the name of it. He's done it. Adam from Glastonbury has done it in the spring of 2017 and 18, and I believe he's registered again this year. And we have a visually impaired athlete who took it upon himself to get into Spartan races, and he's done the Trifecta series the last 2 years. It's like a 5K, 10K, half, and then a marathon is how they build the series. And we've been able to, help sponsor him and help him with that. He also did the Italian Stallion, which they finished on the Rocky Stairs in Philly. So just kind of very cool stuff. And these are all, some of our Connecticut guides have been able to go with them to some of these out of state races, which is pretty cool as well. And we're a few slides later, I'll show you all the different races we're doing just here in Connecticut. But as you see, we're very busy. We are also, again, I like to brag about some of the awards that our athletes have won or where they've been featured in Runner's World magazine, Triathlete magazine, documentaries made about their stories of recovery and inspiration. They've been on the local news, national news, like the Today Show, newspapers, all kinds of print. I mentioned before Chris Radio, one of our athletes who did in New York City, who's visually impaired. She was interviewed along with me. And then we were also together on the iHeartRadio, which was pretty cool. Harry from West Hartford, he was nominated for the Surprise Squad, if you've ever seen that on Channel 3. That was in conjunction with Fleet Feet Sports up in West Hartford. The Hartford Marathon inspiration teams, many of our members, volunteers, our athletes have been nominated and selected, and they get a life-size banner in the Excel Center, and a lot of other really cool recognition through that. Some other awards through Nike and also the Frederick DeLuca Foundation, which is Subway. For all of you, though, now you know that. The Subway is actually the Frederick DeLuca company. And a very, very cool moment happened. Alexia, who's, if you're on my screen, is in the bottom right corner in her hand cycle. This is the finish line shoot of the 2015 New York City Marathon. And that is Meb, Mab. And she gets serious bragging rights that she passed him in the finish line shoot. So she was coming in, finishing her marathon, and so was he. And the New York Roadrunners snapped this photo, and it's to this day sitting in their window in New York City. So that is Alexia from Farmington. And now it's time to brag about our volunteers. What I love, and you heard in some of the introductions, everyone has the common denominator of running, and everyone comes from all different backgrounds and towns around Connecticut, ages, speeds, and we're just so fortunate to have you, joining us so that you can be supporting our athletes. We even have some who, you heard Breck is a photographer. We've had, we currently have RRCA or USATF certified coaches, which is great for some of our beginner athletes who are just getting started. But again, we heard this loud and clear, everyone wants to make a difference. And I truly, have seen this firsthand when we're at events or workouts, wherever you are engaging with Achilles. It's honestly hard to know who is having more fun and who is more inspired, our athletes or our volunteers. So anyway, you guys, like I said, all read in the handbook about, different things that you can be doing, if you're, like, for example, on the road with our athletes. There's a picture up on my screen of a visually impaired athlete from Middletown. His name is Terry, who is out with a couple guides in the Pantry 5K in Glastonbury. What we're doing tonight, in the hour so that we have, is I'm not going to be going through what was in the handbook about tips for guiding the visually impaired. You read about that. Your next step is once we get going, you're going to be out there and you're going to be learning from experienced guides. So in this picture, you can see Natalie, who's on the right. Terry is holding onto her wrist. So she's the experienced guide. And we have Sarah and John who are here and shadowing, learning, from Natalie, and Terry. What does Terry need? What does Terry prefer? Does he like to hold a wrist, an elbow? Does he prefer a tether? The athlete is going to be telling you those things as you get paired with them and get to know them. Remember those profiles you fill out, a lot of information is shared by the athlete and both the volunteer. So you can get those profiles and learn about each other. Not just, verbally, once you're together on the phone, but it's a great tool and resource that we've developed. So that's why we bug you to fill them out. You might be out with a wheelchair athlete. This is a picture here of Harry, who, because of his type of disability, he only has use of one leg. He's paralyzed on one side of his body, so he can use his left leg and I take that back because I can't, I'm the opposite on this picture. His right arm and his right leg. So he can control the brake and he can push and roll. That is how he races. So we have guides, and I get this all the time when they say, oh, I'm going to run with a wheelchair. He needs guides. The only way he can be out on a course, and in this case, he was doing the Hartford Half Marathon, is if he has guides who literally serve as his eyes out front. And he's got Nicole, who you saw her picture earlier, is our VP of operations. She's facing him, and that way he can communicate his needs. She's got eyes on him. And then Daryl here on the left and Taylor on the right are literally like, looking at the road for potholes and turns and other runners, obstacles, and making sure everyone is safe. Other kind of off-road that are sometimes not viewed as glamorous, but so important. I mentioned before, we have race directors who work with me to make accommodations for our athletes. For example, our wheelchair athletes are usually out in front, and we try to get them to clear the field of runners as the race starts. So no one's getting literally run over. We put our own volunteers out at strategic points on the course where there might be sharper turns, narrowing of the road, and we've got flags for safety. We collaborate with those race directors to make sure we're out there and our athletes know we're there, and there's extra warning for those those potential dangers. And it's always nice. You see a familiar neon shirt, and as Jim said, he got a cowbell at our booth. You got a cheerleader out there too, also keeping you safe but motivating you. We always love a good finish line cheer squad. We have a lot of opportunities for high school, college students to get community service. These are, my own kids have done this over the years. And they love to make signs and stand at the finish line of races. Breck's doing their race photo, and then they've got people screaming their name and just kind of waving them in. Some race directors let us put course guides out, put the guide on a bike, especially for some of our elite hand cycles. We're not going to put somebody out there. I don't even think Meb, as you saw in the picture, Alexia passed him. It's not humanly possible to keep up with a hand cycle potentially going 20, 30 miles an hour. But our bikes can. And so they're going to get so far out that they need course navigation, and also navigation not to go into a pothole or hit a curb. So we do have that need. And that's why on the profiles you're asked, can you change a flat? Can you help with a chain? Do you know some bike mechanics? That's why. And so if you've answered those questions, that might be a role that you're asked to help out with. Our race day support in the tent is always fun. One of the things I mentioned before, everyone gets a code to register. We take care of all the logistics. I've had some athletes and guides be like, this is like VIP. And we try to make it as easy and lower as many barriers as possible, especially because we know people are coming from all over Connecticut, and some of our athletes don't drive. And, how can we expect everyone to get to, the Cheshire Greenhouse on Route 10 and pick up their packet if you live down, in Norwalk? That's not really realistic. So I work with the race directors. We do group packet pickup. We get discounts, those complimentary bibs. But basically all you have to do if you're coming to a race is get yourself there, or, we can pair you up for an athlete that doesn't drive, with a local volunteer to help you get there. But when you get to our tent, we have your packets and bibs for you. We even sometimes have coffee and treats. So we really do try to lower those barriers. It's part of our mission. And I always need early morning volunteers, crew to help get everyone organized. Some of our bigger races, Hartford Marathon last year, we had a team of 75. We had a lot of people and a lot of moving parts. So if you're organized and you don't mind getting up early, that's something you can help with. And a lot of these people, you see them right here on the screen, they're guides. They came early, but then they're also with an athlete. So there's many different hats you can wear, sometimes all literally in one day. And we'll never say no to help. Some things that were not in your handbooks, just a couple quick bullet points. We're all about fun facts and helping you understand the organization here in Connecticut that you're getting involved in. It actually dates back to the late 1980s. It started at Gaylord, where many of our athletes, including myself, have done rehab. Dick Traum was the first amputee to run the New York City Marathon, and his friend Pat Griskus, who was also an amputee, who did Ironmans and lived in Wolcott and would do a ton of stuff in the city with Dick, sadly passed away. He was struck by a vehicle while training for Kona. And they named the chapter, at Gaylord kind of in honor of him. And then Trisha Miley, who revealed her identity as the Central Park jogger, when she was at Gaylord, she learned basically how to walk and run again when that chapter got started there, and also in the late 80s. And another quick fun fact, while my accident was different than Trisha's, obviously, but we had similar type of injury to the brain, Gaylord connected me with her, and because that's what I was doing. I was learning how to run again on the same path that Trisha did at Gaylord. And it was an amazing opportunity, and consider her a friend to this day. And she came back to Connecticut as the honorary chair of our first Hope and Possibility race 3 years ago. So very cool. Good connections here with Trisha still. And I'm not the first chapter president. I took over from Tony, who's still one of our athletes. He's an amputee who lives out in New Milford. Rick was before him. He's now down the president of Achilles Puerto Rico and keeps inviting us to come and do field trip races with him. And just some pretty cool, the torch was passed from some pretty cool early leaders of the chapter. And when I took over, we had 4 athletes. I was one of them, and 4 guides, because it kind of waxed and waned a little bit in the 80s and 90s, and got going again when I took over from Tony. And to this day, we now have 38 and counting active athletes. In fact, I want to say Lily, I think I missed a few because Lily just did a lot of the renewals. And 81 and counting active volunteers to meet them locally, show up on race day, and help behind the scenes, as I mentioned. And with the exception of myself and Joe, our director of development, everyone is a volunteer. Both Joe and I are part-time staff of Achilles. So, but we really truly could not run the chapter and do everything that we do now with all these new members without everybody. And so if you have a professional skill set, your wheels are turning, you heard about Brack and what he contributes, we're always looking for that kind of help. So, and a lot of our leadership positions, are retired accountants and event planners and things like that. So let me know. Just want to kind of show you the state. Here we are. If you can see the screen, it's a map of Connecticut. If you can't, and just what we've done is kind of put dots in towns where we have members, not just everyone we heard on the call and where you live, but all over Connecticut, and we're pretty well represented. We are, another quick fun fact, we are the only U.S. chapter that is based in the entire state. If you've ever looked at the website for Achilles International, every other US chapter is based in a city. But we kind of felt that if we formed, I live in Brantford, so Achilles New Haven, what about all those people in yellow that you see? And so we kind of almost have little mini chapters within our state. The purple dots represent the shoreline, Rebecca's region, and then the yellow is, Tiffany's region. And then within those, there's pockets of members. In the greater Hartford area, west of the river, I heard some West Hartford, Simsbury. There's a big kind of group up there. Same thing with like the Tolland, Ellington, Manchester cluster. So you're going to find that, you're going to be connected, believe it or not, with small pockets of members locally for runs on a Saturday morning or just one-on-one trainings, whatever it is that athlete needs. Getting started, which all of you are now doing. Please make sure that you've been getting our emails so far. Everything's been coming from membership. In the spring, summer, and fall, which is our 3 busy months, if you are not getting regular communications from membership, events, mine is president of Achilles, reach out, because maybe it's going to your spam. Maybe you have to adjust settings. I've had that feedback from people. So we just want to make sure you're connected with us. We do post on our social media and our website too, but email and texting is our main form of communication. And we ask you, do that in your profiles too. The events team will be sending out the list of 2019 races I mentioned, and then our outreach coordinators are going to be sending out our directory. This is where you're going to get to know who's on that map near you. Our mission is about empowering our members. And so, this tool lets our athletes reach out to volunteers for anything. Hey, I just want to go out for a walk. I'm getting started. I'm going to shake off the winter, the cobwebs, and I want to go out at my local high school track. I need a volunteer to meet me. Or I need a ride because I don't drive. So it's a great resource to connect in that way. And it's an internal, we're not putting it out on Facebook, it's an internal tool for us to use. And also too, like we will note if, for all of you coming in March, we're going to put that on the directory. So that way, like if an athlete called you, or hopefully they won't, because they'll see that you're new in March of 19, you've got to be shadowing first. Shannon gave us a perfect example. Some of our athletes will use assistive technology. Some of them, for whatever reason, mobility impaired, vision impaired, they don't text or email, and so the outreach may be helping them on their behalf. Some will use talk to text or different devices, and so just be mindful of that. One of our visually impaired athletes in Hartford, Daniel, love Daniel to death, but he's talking and dictating, and so we get sometimes misspellings, and he's literally just talking as I am right now, and so that's coming through in a text or an email. So just be mindful of that. I already talked about the second bullet, which is more just on how we match you based on information in your profiles. Oh, if anything changes, right? Not that I wish this on anyone about injury, but if something were to happen, please alert our events team, or maybe all the hours in the gym is paid off and you're suddenly faster. Whatever the change might be, please communicate that with our events team, because we will never pair an athlete and a guide together that are not matched in pace. It's just not fair or safe. We don't want anyone to get hurt. Same thing too, if an athlete, may reach out for rides or helped with transporting their equipment. That's why we ask do you have a big vehicle question. Again, because it's one of the limitations of being a statewide chapter, in that we don't have, a central location. So the athlete may have their own hand cycle or push room chair at their home in their garage, but they may need help getting it to the race across the state. And so that's where, they may reach out for that. And we just ask, if you are having outreach, if you're the volunteer and getting outreach from an athlete, to, respond timely to them, not wait till the night before the race, for example, that confirm you're picking them up. Athletes too, we expect them, and this is all spelled out in the handbook. Like, we want you to communicate with your guides so they know how they can help you. And that has to be timely too, not waiting till race morning. We've had that happen, and it just doesn't always go so well. So we really stress on both ends that timely and open communication. I'm already ahead of myself. I love it. This is just kind of, I already talked about, you're going to get the list of events. Everyone's human. We know this. But if you do sign up as you're checking that form, just make note of that. We do everything in Google Docs. And so we don't have a way to get an automatic reply, here are your races. We can do that. We can download it for you. But if we try to ask you to, make note of it, add it to your own personal calendar, jot it down, however you're going to remember what you've planned. And to that end too, I just want to mention, some people are super organized and like to plan out their entire year of what they're going to do. And some people, do it in short spurts. You're fitting in work, and you're fitting in your families and your vacation schedules and your own personal races and training. So there's all those variables at play. So just let us know, reply to that link and just say, I can sign up for the next 3 months, and I'll check back with you, kind of thing. We really make this unique to each person, whether you're an athlete or a volunteer. Margaret Rorio, she goes by Grit, as you saw in her picture. She oversees all the in-state races, and I handle all logistics for the bigger out-of-state races like the Boston Marathon, New York City Marathon. And so you may get an email from me saying, are you interested in helping an athlete train for Boston? Are you interested in being considered for, the team that is going to go with him to Boston or New York, whatever it might be. So that would be coordinated by me. I already talked about the codes, and we're going to talk about our race in a few minutes. Athletes, like for Jim and Shannon, we always get you guys signed up for races first, because obviously we need to know which athletes are doing what race. And especially, if there's more than just like a 5K, if there's different distances, we have to get the athletes in the door first. And then we start pairing up the guides. And so that's staggered. And like I said, all that communication comes from Nina Bryant, our amazing registration coordinator. I just want to, in this slide here, it's kind of talking about that matching process. As you saw in our numbers, we have probably double the number of volunteers in our membership. And we need that, because some athletes are okay with just one guide, some need 3, like in that picture you saw with Harry. So we always kind of, and you'll see this better when you get the event forms from Grit. You may not be able to make every single event that we have, and that's fine. We're not that organization that says, well, you must volunteer with us for 3 hours a week. That's not us. Like I said, you fit this in. If you come to one race a year, we are so excited you can come to that one race. If you can do more with us, great. But you may not get matched with an athlete, because we have more available guides than we have athletes registered. We may not have somebody at your pace. There are a lot of moving parts. But if you said you can volunteer with us for that event, you will still make a difference with our athletes in some of those roles I mentioned before. And it is just as rewarding. And on races like the Hartford Marathon, where it poured sideways, if you're a tent volunteer, you get to stay dry. There is a plus. Again, we're an organization that focuses on adaptive running and mainstream athletics. And I'm such a stickler about this, to the athletes and to the volunteers. We're entering big races. We're at those starting lines. And, we're going to adhere to the same policies, the same deadlines. Some races sell out more quicker than others. And so when you're getting those emails that it's time to sign up for something, please pay attention to that. No joke, we have had athletes registered and then the guide doesn't register and the race sells out. We can't get them in. Like, we literally cannot get them in. And, the consequences on the athlete that doesn't have, a guide. So I'd just like to stress that, not stress you out, but just stress that. When you come to your first event, whether it's a workout or a race, you guys will all get your shirts. They are neon yellow. Many of you have seen us out in action. The guide shirts are printed front and back, big block letters, guide, and our athlete shirts will have something printed depending on the disability for safety. So like our blind runners, and I get this all the time, it's visually impaired, but the safety factor, and I honestly cleared this with the ITU para triathlon, is because visually impaired runner are 3 big words, and we'd have to shrink the font, and it's a lot of words to read. And if you're coming up behind someone and you're passing them and you literally have 3 seconds to see the neon yellow and read, what are you going to read quicker? You're going to read blind runner. So that is why, and also front and back. Our deaf runners have deaf runner printed, and other athletes may have something, on them too, again, just for safety and awareness. Again, the timing of this year coming up is fortuitous for all of you, because our next event, our first event, I should say, is our kickoff on Sunday, March 24th from 1 to 4. You guys are just, like I said, you're just coming into the chapter. That's why I put this slide in here, because you probably haven't seen any emails about this. I'm breaking the news. This is a great opportunity if you can join us. These are pictures from last year's. We do breakout sessions where we have our athletes on little panels and members rotate through. You get to practice hands-on guiding Mike. That's Mike here with the blind runner shirt and the jacket. And you're going to get to move around obstacles like the chair. We make a little maze, and you get hands-on practice guiding with a tether, holding an arm, like all the things you read in the handbook. For our wheelchair population, you're going to practice helping to transfer an athlete in and out of this is a push rim racing chair. And then over here on the right is a hand cycle, without throwing out your back, using good posture and good body mechanics. And so again, we're not going to wait till race day, to throw you into the fire. That's, again, not fair or nice of us. This far right picture, we had a hands-on workshop of how to change a flat. For our hand cycles, they do have gears like a bicycle. They are allowed in road racing. Their division in the Paralympics. And just like a bike, their chain can derail, get jammed, a tire blows. And so we do hands-on, how do you be a pit crew like NASCAR? And that's held at Gaylord up in Wallingford. These are just the races on the screen that we are committed to sponsoring the athletes and guides in. So we have a total, I should know this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 races between March and November, which includes the Boston Marathon and New York City Marathon, bookending that. Yeah, Shannon, do you have a question?
Where exactly is the meeting at Gaylord?
Oh, back to the slide. It is in the Brooker Lecture Hall. You'll be getting an email about this with details. They have a big conference center that we take over.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yes, details are coming, but I just wanted to plant the seed tonight. And and if you can't go, if you've already have a commitment that day or working, whatever, we do have video modules that we will send you the link for. We put them up on our YouTube channel, so you can see those. Okay, I'm not going to take time tonight, but our races are up on our website, which, frequent the website. It's a lot of good information there. You're going to get this link for you to indicate your interest in availabilities in any of these races. And again, maybe these races aren't for you, and you're going to be that, non-competitive, out just for health and well-being, and that is absolutely fine too. But these are the races that we do. And like I said before, we sponsor the athletes. There's no charge for our athletes to do 15 races a year because we're writing grants, we're raising money, we're fundraising, getting donations, and fun ways, because that's what the board and I do. That's what I do all winter. Is if any of you are shopping on Amazon, didn't know if you know this, but Achilles is one of the charities through Amazon Smile. You can link your account and a small percentage of your purchase gets donated to Achilles. So it's just one link through Amazon Smile. Our main fundraiser of the year is our Hope and Possibility race. Trisha Miley, who I mentioned before, she went back to New York after recovering at Gaylord, became a founding board member of Achilles International, and she wrote her book called Hope and Possibility, and founded the road race in Central Park where she was attacked. And that was 15 years ago. Connecticut is one of the 4 chapters here in the United States who bring the Hope and Possibility to their chapter. And this will be our 4th year. Real quick about this, how we use the funds we raise. Because, this is the one race that we do ask that every single member, including our volunteers, guides, pay for, that everyone registers. We give you a discount, but we still, it's our big fundraiser. Athletes, in your handbook, you have a form that, if cost is prohibitive, we do have, financial aid, and we have, a fund set aside for that. But when you can pay for it, we appreciate that. Last year, we had terrible weather. The entire racing season last year, just wet. No joke, every single race we went to was raining, including our own. And it was something that we had raised close to $20,000 the year before net profit, and we saw about $12,000 net profit just because of the sun wasn't out. But we take that money, and literally $12,000 is our budget each year for how we pay for those 15 races for the entire team. So you come to this race, you bring your friends, your family, your coworkers, all those proceeds, that's what funds the following race season for our team. So it's a very, hands-on use of our funds. It goes right back into our athletes. Like many big nonprofits, even though we are small, I like to think big. We do have a charity runner program, just like, the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation and the American Cancer Society. you could be a charity runner, and any races you guys are doing, including our own, you can set up a fundraising page and your own goals. And we do this all through Blackbaud, which is what a lot of those other organizations use. We did this for Hartford last year and raised over $11,000, surpassing our $10,000 goal. We are an official charity partner of that race, and we nailed it. And so we've had individual athletes, I mentioned one, David did a half Ironman. He fundraised personally as a charity runner for that. Tina's Guide raised like $2,800. And we had another volunteer who did the Providence Marathon and fundraised for us. And we have lots of perks and swag and, fun incentives and things like that. So if you're interested in doing that, for any ultra marathon, I heard Ironman out there, information is up on our website, and you would also shoot me an email. We can talk more. Share our fundraising efforts. We have social media accounts on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and hit that share button and retweet things and send it out and help us, put things out into the universe. Some of your employers may have charitable giving programs or reward you for volunteering, and they'll make a matching gift. I have a longtime guide who works for ESPN, which is Disney. They're owned by Disney. And she sends me a form once a year. These are the hours I did training Tom and on the Iron Horse Boulevard in Simsbury. And these are the races I did with him. And then I get $1,000 check from ESPN / Disney. And your employer is rewarding you for giving back to the community. And we get a lot in just corporate matching and those types of things. So definitely read your employee handbooks, look into it, and let us know. These are our amazing sponsors. Some of our corporate sponsors are, up on our website, so you can look more. We have a full list of our donors and our annual report linked on our website. But this is literally, as a nonprofit organization, how we roll, truly how we roll. And so it's just all the outreach to different organizations in Connecticut who support the running community, support the disabled community, and just great partners of ours. Up on our website is also listed, just all these different organizations. We met Jim at the National Federation of the Blind of Connecticut, Shannon at Chapter 126, the Adaptive Gym. But a lot of these connections come, no joke, from our members. So if your wheels are turning as I'm talking and you're listening to this, let me know. Shoot me an email. Because that's truly how we get a lot of our connections and partnerships. In your handbooks, you have all the links to our social media accounts that I mentioned, but just especially as you're getting started, it's a great way to go on our Facebook page, look at pictures. We love to put pictures up on ourselves. And when you signed your waivers, when you joined, there was the line in there about photos. But, if you truly don't want any photos of yourself, just honestly shoot us an email, and we totally respect that. Just want to always throw that out there. Okay, you survived listening to me. I'm going to unmute everyone, and this is kind of the time where we turn it around and you can put Lily and I in the hot seat. I've left everyone speechless. I know you're all still there. Any questions? Lily, was there anything I didn't cover or skipped over? Anything you want to add?
Nope, you were very thorough and you covered everything.
Is it kind of what you expected? Like I said, we highlight kind of what's in the handbook. Is any comments about that? Does everyone know what you're getting yourselves into? So you can always, hang up, and this always happens to me. I end something, a conversation, and go, oh, I forgot that question. You can always email me, or Lily. Lily's at membership@achillesct.org. I am president at achillesct.org. You can always follow up with us. You will start getting emails about the membership meeting, about the events. We hope to see you on the 24th. That's especially if you're just joining, it's a great way to come in and meet, Tiffany and Rebecca. We always kind of break off, into like our smaller regions so you can network and get to know people who live close to you. We always have snacks. We will then have those breakout sessions that I mentioned. So it's all hands-on, interactive. Next steps will be getting you, paired up with an experienced guide to go out together, kind of learn the ropes, on the course if you're a guide. Athlete, if you're just starting out, getting you connected with an experienced guide to kind of show you the ropes. So that's kind of what you can expect next. So if there's no questions, we can wrap up tonight. I love this quote, and I want to read it because I know not everyone is screen sharing, but it kind of sums up why you're here, why you're joining our Achilles Connecticut family. And the quote says, "I want to inspire people. I want someone to look at me and say, because of you, I didn't give up." And it just ties in that whole thing I said before. When you see somebody, finish their workout or cross that finish line and get that medal around their neck. Like, I have goosebumps just talking about it. That athlete, you don't know. We bragged about them before, but, these are people who, maybe were, had a disability they were born with, right? It's been a lifelong disability or medical condition, or something acquired, like me. I went to work one day and next thing I know, I spent 5 weeks in the hospital. So you never know. In that moment when they're finishing that workout or they're getting that medal around their neck, like I said before, it's hard to know who is more inspired in that moment. So I want to thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for joining Achilles. We are so excited to meet you in person. Some people who had their videos up, thank you. We got a sneak peek. But otherwise, I hope to see you on the 24th and at some of our upcoming races.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Mm.